Hello everybody and welcome to Building Tips with Kloof. Today we are going to be talking about gradients and how to implement those gradients into your Minecraft builds. Now without further ado, let's get right into the video. So as we can see here, I have cooked up some gradients to look through. A lot of these you're gonna see have a bit of a cutoff point where they switch pretty harshly, and that's kind of for good reason. So starting off with the bottom row on this side, we have a green gray to a blue gray gradient. So for this one in particular, we start out with our darker green gray and we come across to a little bit lighter of a green gray, coming more over this. The highlights on this one line up with the highlights on this one, kind of making your brain make the transition and switching across. It's a nice gradient. It's a pretty nice gradient. You can use these on walls, foundations, literally anything you put your mind to. Next gradient is interesting because it goes from a red tone to a muted neutral tone, which was honestly kind of difficult to do. But we have this transition point right here where it cuts from redness of the granite over to the jungle log here, which is a red toned wood, but it's very lightly red toned, so it makes sense and your brain makes the transition across. I use it a lot for roofing, specifically like the Mediterranean terracotta style roofs. That's what I use it for. This next one is a nice brown gradient, very nice neutral gradient, taking us from the spruce trap door all the way up to sandstone. This one I use to highlight something very interesting I don't see a lot of people highlighting. The way this transition typically works in art whenever you're coloring or rendering a piece is in between the light section and the shadows, you have this line of saturation that goes through. So in this gradient, I implemented this more red toned line in between the shadows and the light. It also helps that the details and texturing in these blocks are warm toned and the details and texturing in these blocks are cool toned. This ray or this band of saturation that passes through of red helps imitate that illusion of like what you would see in actual art. Now up close, most of these gradients look pretty rough, but whenever you zoom out and you go back away, you can see them kind of blend together a little bit better, and you can honestly see more of what I'm talking about. Now, on to the next one. This one was a very difficult transition, and this is kind of what I wanted to show for when you just have a lack of blocks. And this is what I found for this transition in particular. And I wanted to transition from dark oak log stripped to this dripstone block. This is the best thing I could do. I used mud bricks as a replacement for a block that would actually be nice, but in my opinion, for this type of gradient in this style, this mud bricks are way too saturated, and it brings too much saturation to the mix, so it's not the best of transitionary choices. This next gradient is really quite simple. I wanted to take it from a black tone to a light tone. Now the differences in these is this is a purple toned black tone and this is a blue toned gray tone. So transitioning between these was pretty difficult. This right here, these deep slate bricks, are not very saturated in any way. They're very monochrome, meaning this line of non-saturated color created the perfect blend between two different block tones in a way, and also gradiented from dark to light. So these gradients can really be a lot more complicated than when you first see them. This gradient, I wanted to take the gradient from black all the way up to a gold, light gold color. So obviously I used the gold blocks. This is the raw gold. This is yellow glazed terracotta, which actually came in clutch because this bright tones really made a good like highlight piece for it. Using glow lichen and other things to gradient from stone blocks over is really, really nice, and it's a great hack to basically make a new block texture that has gray, because you can do this with literally any gray transitionary. As long as it's some form of gray, you can use that. Now this gradient right here is very, very special to me and really important. So with the new resin pieces, you can actually create an effect of dithering. And dithering is whenever you use a mix of colors. You almost checkerboard the colors together to create the illusion of a gradient when there's no gradient actually present. between two colors, but it works absolutely perfectly in this gradient here. So I take it from this deep nether brick color carrying through into magma blocks, which gives us that transitionary piece in between the maroon colors and the orange colors, moving over to the resin, and then it goes into orange concrete with the resin on top of it, again carrying over the resin, and then over into our lighter tones. This is probably one of the smoothest gradients I've made today. Next up we have the copper blocks. Now this is a game dedicated gradient that Minecraft just gave to us. Thank you guys so much. We absolutely love the copper blocks. But these guys right here are really nice for if you're looking for more steampunky builds or if you're looking to make a copper gradient. I wanted to include it just because it is a really smooth gradient that Mojang made, and it should be used more often, even though copper's literally used in every build nowadays. This next gradient I worked on was quite difficult. Going from two different saturated colors. Now for the copper, it was quite easy because the blocks were already made, but what do you do when the blocks aren't made for you? You kind of have to make things up. So first we start over here, our light saturated purple, and then on this side we have our light saturated cyan-y blue color. The nether blocks really helped here, coming in clutch again. We take the purple down, and then we mute the purple, and then we bring the purple back but with blue bits, and then we bring the blue out completely. The only reason I think this gradient actually works is because of this unsaturated piece in the middle, kind of allowing your brain to just connect the textures together. And last but not least, we have the skulk to this deep slate, cobbled deep slate up here. This is pretty simple. I just wanted to include the skulk because I like the skulk. I think it's cool. But kind of just showing how you can do or use these whatever you call these top resting blocks and gradients to help better transition blocks over. So right here I have the skulk, and to transition the skulk block into the tiled with the skulk vein on top, I use the skulk vein on top of the skulk to kind of smoothen that transition out, because without it, it's a little harsh and jagged, but with it, you can see it kind of smooths it out a little bit. The only thing I wish I could improve on this one is the transition here, but I could not find a single block in the entire creative catalog to make that transition a little bit smoother. So if you guys have suggestions, please let me know in the comments. So in order to demonstrate this, let's just start out with a really basic foundation of a house. Now, just keeping this is absolutely fine. Mojang did a really good job in texturing these blocks to make sure that they look nice and textured. However, if you want to add dimension and you want to make it feel a little more lively and less flat, you can simply add a gradient. Now doing this, you add in slowly over time the blocks that you need in order to make the gradient kind of fit in. So you start from your darkest tone block and then you work your way up to your lighter toned blocks. Now when you have a taller structure and you're not limited to a 4x4, you can expand these elements up in this kind of pattern where they go diagonal of each other. And this produces a dithering effect, which really blends these blocks nicely together. As you can see, if we take a little step back, you can actually see that these colors blend in super well together. And the bottom half looks shaded, whereas the top half looks illuminated. Now just look at the difference between these two walls. Which one do you think is more appealing? Personally, I like to lean towards the one with more texture. It has more shading, it has more depth, and it feels nicer to look at. Especially in the scheme of a larger build. Full stone isn't bad, it's just very flat, and it can make your builds look flat, which can be a problem if you want them to look good. Alrighty, that's gonna be all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something in today's video, and hopefully you can implement some of these really nice gradients into your builds. Tag me on Instagram to show me anything you'd like to show me. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Ooh, this is difficult. Okay, well, that was fun.